besides that. So yeah, just get at a shot. All right. So peace and love, family. This is Dr. Umar Johnson. We live with the Black Parent Teleconference. We were supposed to have done it yesterday, but the flight situations in Atlanta caused a few problems. So today is Wednesday, which is not our normal day, but we're doing it on Wednesday. Okay, in case there's any parents out there who have some issues. So we're going to chime in until we get some questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to give a call. I put the number right there on the post of the Facebook Live. So this is a call that's dedicated exclusively to parents who have questions about black child education and black child mental health. So if anyone's watching has a question, feel free to call in. Since it's not the regular day, we may not get a lot of parents today. Tuesday next week, I'll be back in Philadelphia basically for 4 weeks straight. I don't have to fly out for the next month, so we shouldn't have any interruptions for the next 4 weeks. But if anyone has any questions, definitely please call in. If there's anyone on the telephone line right now, with a question, definitely. And my call just dropped. Yep, I got to dial back in. So let me dial back in. All right. Thank you. Peace and love, black family. Dr. Umar Johnson Black, back on the Black Parent Teleconference. If anyone has any questions, please give a call. You can give a call right now. Okay, I posted the number there on the Facebook Live. So if you got any questions about the youth, go ahead and call in right now so you can get your answers. Otherwise, we will probably discontinue the call. So I'm going to give it about 5-10 minutes, see what happens. And if we don't have any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and discontinue the call. So anyone on Facebook, if you have any questions about your child, now is the time to call. The number is there. You can see the number there on the Facebook Live feed. So let's see. I'm on the line now, seeing. Okay. Does anyone with a question, feel free to answer it. Go ahead and ask your question. Okay. All right, I just saw a question posted right there on Facebook. How many times can a child be suspended before they be expelled? There is no limit. A child can be suspended as many times as the principal deems it if they're in regular education. If they're in special education, same thing. There is no suspensions do not convert into expulsions. So you can be suspended however many times you get suspended. There's no limit. But if the kid is in special ed, they can only be suspended a total of 10 days before the IEP team has to convene and approve subsequent days. Do we have a caller with a question? Yes, ma'am. Where are you calling from? Newark, New Jersey. All right. I will be speaking on Saturday, December the 10th at the Mickey Walker Community Center. Go right ahead with your question, sister. Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Turn this air off so I can hear you. Okay, go right ahead. Sure. They're going back and forth because of the what? Well, if he doesn't want to work with her, it's going to make it kind of difficult. But where exactly is the challenge coming from? Now, I know he's telling the son he doesn't have to listen to his mother, but listen to her regarding what? Is this about school? Is it about... Mm. Okay. No, I can't put the call on speaker. It's better for me this way, but I'll repeat the question. The question is about a father who is basically, from what I understand, communicating to his son that he doesn't have to follow his mother's wishes. He's going against the mother, and the father is supporting it. How old is the son? He's 14. Here's the thing, something that's automatically jumping out for me. If the son, see, here's the thing. Even if the father and the mother don't get along, that doesn't automatically mean that the son is going to disrespect or disobey his mother. Now, with him being 14, I suspect that the son has issues with his mother apart from the father. Now, if we were dealing with a young child, then I would simply say the young kid is being manipulated by the dad. But since we're dealing with a 14-year-old, I believe that the boy has issues with his mom of his own, and he's simply using the father as leverage to get his way. One of the questions I have is, should he be living with his father? Because he is 14. That is the age when a boy really needs to be with his dad, not his mother. Okay? And, so what's, why is it not an option?
Disruptive. He was being disrespectful, and it was only over the course of the summer from being with his dad. He was always with, with us, with his mom and everybody. But when he had that one freedom, away from us, he went with his dad, and it was like he came back, he was a completely different child. And then ever since then, his father lives in a different state, but it's only like 3 hours away. But still, he makes no effort to be there physically. You know what I mean? But he does everything over the phone, and it's my sister is getting to the point where I think that she's ready to just give up,
Okay. So you're saying he is disrupting the process of her household, but he does not want to take on the responsibility of having his son come and live with him.
Right.
Okay. That's going to be tough. I'm not even sure if that's reconcilable. Sounds like the father has some unresolved issues with the mom. Definitely sound like the father has some unresolved issues with the mom. I'm wondering if the mother and father could go through some sort of a parent conflict resolution session. Maybe there needs to be some family therapy. but it sounds like their relationship issues is what is affecting this young man's ability to be raised correctly. Or should I say, their relationship issues has given their son the power to disrupt or manipulate both of them against each other. I see this situation a whole lot. I see it all the time. And until them two decide to work together for the best interest of the son, nothing's going to change. And with him being 14, now he's in his teenage years, he's going to manipulate both of them against each other if they don't agree to subvert their relationship issues and make him the primary object as opposed to pissing each other off. There's immaturity here. Sounds like there's scorn, there's resentment. The interesting thing about this, though, it's not uncommon, but it's normally the reverse. You know, it's normally the mom who's the primary custodian who's making it difficult for the dad to do what the dad needs to do. It's normally the mom, you know, who's undermining the father, only because mothers tend to be the primary custodial parent. But either way, she cannot deny him his father, you know. But what she may have to do, she may have to make it uncomfortable for him to do what he's doing. Not to see his son, but maybe he has to see his son under certain conditions in terms of it may have to be supervised visitation or something, because, you know, if you are sabotaging the way that I'm raising my son, then maybe I need to have supervised visitation so I can watch what you say to him. You know, she may have to come up with some creative ways to dissuade him from doing what he's doing. But simply put,
oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what she may have to do. She may have to do it because it sounds like this is about power. And if he wants a lot of control, you may have to take away some of his control in order to get him to think twice about what he's doing. So,
because he won't physically come here. Everything is being done over the phone, but he still has that control over his son. So if he tells him, to do whatever, his son is going to do it. But he hasn't physically seen his dad in years. And he
hasn't physically seen his dad in years.
They talk on the phone almost.
Why has he seen him in years?
Because his father lives in the next state, which is 3 states.
Okay, then you know what may have to happen then? 3 states over ain't that bad. I mean, no states over ain't that bad if you care about your child. But here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. If he hasn't seen his father in 3 years, and the father is doing all this manipulating by telephone, I think it's time for the mother to tell the father that you will no longer communicate with your son by phone until we see you face to face. You could communicate with him by email, so I can read what you're saying to my son. That will also undermine his power. But until we see you face to face for a conversation, there will be no more communication. If your son is important to you, if you love your son, there is a face-to-face meeting required between you and I, and then you, I, and our child. That's what needs to happen. Kill the communication until there's a face-to-face meeting. That would be my strategy.
Okay, I'll tell her that, because we're going to come see you in Elizabeth in December anyway. But I just wanted to speak to you about it now.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much for taking my call.
Okay, thank you, sis. Okay. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Good morning, Dr. Umar.
Good morning, sister. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Okay, I have a son that he was in the public school system, and they kept saying he had behavioral issues. We saw him, he would kind of act out starting around the age of 3, but we thought there were tantrums at that time. He's no longer in the public school system. I'm homeschooling him on an African-centered program at home. But I watched the video that you did about a couple of years ago today, and I saw some of the mistakes I was making, like being consistent, the reward program, try the rewarding, and punishing him at that time each time he made a mistake. But some of his problems in school was aggression, or not wanting to be redirected. Other than that, he's a straight A student that they wanted to put in special ed.
Oh, okay, your son is a straight A student, and they want to put him in special ed.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of his aggression and them not being able to control him at school.
What is he doing at school? When you say they're not able to control him, what is he doing at school?
He gets really angry. Like if he's redirected. So it could be small things, and even sometimes at home. But I can control him in my home. What is he doing at school? You say they're not able to control him. What is he doing? Yeah. If they grab him, he'll try to get away from them, or if just outbursts, like he'll run away from them in the school.
Okay. What grade?
He's a second grader. He's 8.
He's a second grader. He's 8. What do his grades look like academically? His report card grades.
All A's except for conduct.
He has all A's except for conduct. He cannot qualify for special ed. Under no circumstances can he qualify for special ed. First of all, the only category that he could qualify for, well, let me ask you, does he have any outside diagnosis, ADHD, or anything like that?
No, I started taking him to play therapy, and she was saying that he has anxiety and like an anger overload.
Okay,
so
anger overload. What the heck is that? But go ahead. He's still going to play therapy, and she wanted to refer him over to the psychiatrist, but they kept talking about medicines, and I wasn't willing to put him on medicine, so we started the home. All right, couple things. Number one, he cannot qualify for special ed. There is no way he can qualify for special ed. You can only qualify for special education if the problem has an adverse effect on educational performance. It must have an adverse effect on educational performance, progress. Your son has straight A's and B's. If he has straight A's and B's, what does he need special ed for? He does not. He does not. There must be evidence of an adverse effect on learning. Your son is straight A's and B's. You do not go to special ed because you are angry. You do not go to special ed because you misbehave. You do not go to special ed because you cannot pay attention. You only go to special ed because you have a learning problem that is resulting from not being able to pay attention. You have a learning problem that results from being angry. If the anger is not affecting learning, he cannot qualify for special education. Now, what you could do, you said that the play therapist said that he has anxiety. What you could do is you could have the play therapist write a letter stating that that is your son's diagnosis, generalized anxiety disorder, or whichever category the play therapist wants to use. And once she gives you that documentation that he has anxiety or whatever it's going to be, do not use ADHD because then they can force the meds. Once she does that, you can go to the school and request a 504 meeting. You can demand a 504 accommodation plan, which would give your son regular breaks from class, a one-to-one aid, a behavior plan, extra time to take his tests. That may help out to some extent. In order to get the 504, there must be a diagnosed condition of some type. So if she says he has the anxiety, you could potentially use that. Now, the other thing, too, is you have to rule out whether or not your son's behavior is, number one, a function of how he's being treated by them in school. Also, you have to rule out whether or not your son's misbehavior is a function of the fact that he is not being adequately challenged. You understand? So if he's straight A's and B's, the work may be too easy. Is your son mentally gifted? You may have to request a mentally gifted evaluation because the young man may actually be mentally gifted. Okay. Also, because he is so young, if he's misbehaving in class, there's a significant chance that he's misbehaving because he's not getting the amount of attention that he needs at home, or he may not be getting the amount of attention that he needs from his teacher. Remember, at that age, the number one function of all misbehavior is lack of attention. Okay, lack of attention. So at home, is he getting enough lap time, face-to-face time with mom and dad?
No, only with mom because dad's incarcerated, but I do not work. I go to, I'm a veteran, so I go to college, and my evenings are spent with them doing their activities, doing their homework. And his problems normally are not in the classroom. His problems are normally like, it'll be like in PE, or if something happens in the hallway, or at
during transitions. He has an issue during transitions. So then my question becomes, what are they doing during the transitions? What are they doing during the transitions to reduce that? Maybe he has to leave the class before everyone else. Maybe he leaves the class after everyone else. Maybe there needs to be an NTA, an assistant in the school, who will actually transport him from one class to another. Transitions are easy because, first of all, they only last a few minutes. And second of all, you can simply put an adult on the case to handle that. But now that you've mentioned transitions being the major issue, he certainly cannot qualify for special ed. You cannot go to special ed because you cannot behave going from class to class. That is absolutely ridiculous. But I want to go back to the MG thing, and I really think that you should probably have your son evaluated for mentally gifted if you live in a state that still has a gifted law. Remember, gifted is no longer a part of special ed, so each state has decided whether or not they want to do that. So if your state does have MG, he needs to be evaluated for giftedness. It may purely be a gifted issue, and his behavior may simply be frustration. Frustration because he's wasting his time. Frustration because he is bored. Remember, young children do not talk their problems out. They act their problems out.
And it could be that he's bored because when he comes home in the evening, he has like a science lab in my garage, and we go out there some days, especially on the weekend. He said, "Okay, Mom, now I want to show you how to do this. This is what happened when I put baking soda and vinegar together, and it's going to blow my balloon up. But Mom, okay, I want to show you how to do this." And, I give him all the material that he needs to do those things.
I got you.
But in school, they do very little of those kind of activities.
Well, you might want to bring that. You might want to bring that to the attention of the teacher. Well, that also sounds like boredom. That's still related to boredom because he's not doing things in school that are interesting. You see, so that's related to boredom. You may have to start looking for another school for him. What I would also do, it still ain't too late this year. I would probably write a letter to the superintendent and say my son is not being challenged at this school. Is there a better place or another place where he can go? I would probably also research some of the charter schools in the district to see if any of them have a waiting list that isn't too long. Of course, you got to do your research on charter schools because some of them are worse than the public schools, but some of them can be better. But that school may just not be the right fit, or maybe the teacher may not be the right fit. So you could even start by speaking with the principal to see if he can transfer that kid to a higher achieving classroom. Because see, something else they do. When black boys misbehave, they will assign them to the lowest academic classroom in the school because of behavior, when the truth of the matter is your son needs the highest academic classroom because of his intelligence. But of course, in schools, they don't really care about how black kids learn. They only care about how they behave because schools are like prisons. So I think it's time to speak with the principal about getting your son transferred to another classroom. Now the other thing too, because you are a single mom raising a boy, obviously there's always a concern with that from the perspective of a lack of discipline. Mothers tend to let their sons get away with a lot more than fathers do. So you have to make sure that you're not spoiling him. He's the only child?
No. There's 3 of them still at home. 2 of them are adults. And I have an 8, 9, and 10-year-old still at home.
Okay, so he's not the only child. Okay, but definitely you want to make sure that there's no spoiling going on. And when he gets in trouble in school, there needs to be a consequence at home. Every day he gets in trouble at school, there needs to be a consequence at home. For a kid that age, All you have to do is starve them of attention. Attention is more important than food when you're 8 years old. Attention is more important than oxygen when you are 8 years old. So all you have to do is starve him of your attention. Okay, send him to bed early, give him time out, give him extra assignments that he needs to complete, whatever the case may be. But attention is how you're going to get him to refocus, because nothing is more important to him at his age than having you directly in his environment, having access to you physically. So you may have to cut down the time that he gets to spend with mom until he improves the situation. Lastly, how long has dad been incarcerated?
Since he was 3 years old and he's 8, so for about 5 years.
Okay, does he talk to his father on the phone?
He does. He talks to him. I take them to see him as often as I can. Like, we're going actually this weekend.
Okay. Now, you said you take him as often as you can. How often is that on average?
Normally every 2 to 3 months.
Every 2 to 3 months. Okay. And understandable, I can definitely understand if that's all that you're able to do, given the fact that, you have things going on and you have the other children as well. I would like it to be a little bit more consistent than that, because that could also be a part of this. Remember, kids don't talk out their problems, they act out their problems. So it could be the infrequent opportunities that he get to see his dad. Perhaps you could speak with his father's family and see if any of them would be willing to take him more regularly to go and visit his dad. But I think that might be a part of it, especially if he sees other children with their fathers. That's when it really hurts the children, when they go to school and they get dropped off and they see the other kids being dropped off by their dad, or they see the dads dropping by, dads going on class trips. It'd be those silent types of things that can really cause those type of situations. We probably need to find a role model father figure for him, be the uncle or brother from the community. Of course, you have to be careful because we have so many sexual predators in our midst, black or white. But we definitely got to get him around a strong man, somebody who, can shower him with that masculine energy that he needs. But
yeah, he has spoken of, like, he'll cry. He'll tell me, I miss my dad. I'm just ready for my dad to come home. Or days like when it's donuts with dads, I may not allow them to go to school on those days because it's especially hard for them, because he was in the home up until the day he actually had to leave.
I got you. Yeah, that I think that could definitely be a problem. Let me ask you, do the other children have different fathers?
The other children, they cry, and they'll tell me when they miss him, and they'll ask me, well, can we go see him now, or when can we go see him? And, and I take them as soon as I can once they, especially if they're asking to see him. They also don't go to school when there are certain things like donuts with dad and things like that, because it's hard, and they'll cry. And if someone says something about it, then I normally have to go get them.
Okay, so they all have the same father.
But
they have the same.
They all have the same father.
Okay.
They're all A and B students, but the other two just don't act out.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. So yeah, just see if we can get him around his dad a little bit more often, toughen up on that discipline. Okay, definitely on that side of the equation. Consider getting him evaluated for mental giftedness, and then also you want to find out what the behavior plan is in the classroom. What is the teacher's behavior plan? See, teachers want mothers and fathers to be the disciplinarian. You cannot be the disciplinarian in her class. All behavior is a function of where it takes place and the consequences that follow. So what is the teacher doing? What is the consequences and rewards that are being used in the classroom to strengthen good behavior and weaken misbehavior? Teachers cannot separate themselves from the behavior. They may not have caused the behavior, but teachers cannot separate themselves from the behavior. What the teacher does when your son misbehaves is either going to strengthen that misbehavior or weaken that misbehavior, because behavior never stands still. Behavior is always getting better, or behavior is always getting worse. So you need to have a serious conversation with that teacher as it relates to what she's doing about the misbehavior in the classroom.
I have one more question.
Sure.
And so their thoughts, other than the special ed, was they wanted him to go to alternative school.
alternative school for a second grader?
Yes.
Is it that bad? Like, what's going on? When you're putting a kid that young in alternative school, I mean, it's normally major stuff. I mean, is it that bad where, I mean, is he just like running out the class? Like, how bad is this? You know what I think you need to do? I think you need to hire. What state are you in? Jersey, right?
In Texas.
Texas, I'm sorry, you're in Texas. I think you need to hire a psychologist, a counselor, or a social worker to go into your son's classroom and observe his behavior to make sure the teachers are not exaggerating. It is not uncustomary for teachers to exaggerate the misbehavior that they see in black boys. Remember, they don't like our sons anyway. Even a lot of black teachers don't like our sons. So I think you need to get somebody in there. You need another set of eyes. You cannot assume they're telling the truth. I'm not saying that your son is not guilty of misbehavior. I'm saying that they may be exaggerating the extent that he is misbehaving. So we need someone else to go into that classroom to observe him. Someone else needs to go into that classroom to observe him to determine whether or not, the teacher's degree of concern is legitimate. And then also, on top of that, we need him to, whoever observes your son, to give you and the teacher some recommendations for how his behavior can be better managed in the classroom. Who knows? The person who observes your son might notice that there's many kids in the classroom who are misbehaving, but the teacher's only singling out your son. They might, observe that the teacher has no classroom management skills, or that the teacher is a boring instructor, and that's why your son is not paying attention. Or maybe he's sitting next to a kid who is motivating him to get off task. So you can learn so much from having another person, in that setting to really see what's going on. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Keep me posted on that. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Good morning, Dr. Umar.
Good morning, sister. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Polight, Texas.
Hey there, love. How's it going?
It's going. Last time I spoke with you, I was speaking with you about my son in the Gifted and Talented program.
Yes.
Well, they finally decided to test him. But now I'm concerned. Well, I haven't got the results yet. But I went and, like, all his teachers, and, I mean, it's a small town, so we know everybody. I had a conversation with his teacher, his math teacher, which was my math teacher when I was in the second grade. And she was like, she's not so sure about putting him in that program because of his behavior. Mind you, just like the other lady that was talking, he's a straight A student. I mean, straight A's. He's very intelligent. Science projects, he win them, all of that. But he does misbehave in gym. He misbehaves in the lunchroom. He misbehaves during transition. So a lot of people, they label him as a bad kid regardless of his straight A's. So my concern is if he does, do a good job on his test, this lady, the gifted and talented teachers are middle-aged white ladies. They want somebody that's going to sit there and, he not that type of child. He's going to move around. So I guess my question is that a good move to put him in that gifted and talented program, knowing how, they're going to stereotype him, knowing they're not going to have the patience to deal with him, the teachers that he's with.
What grade is he? What grade is he in?
He's in the second grade.
Okay, he's young. I mean, for me, I think it's worth the shot, just to see what happens. Maybe they do something with him that he enjoys that, calms him down. But in terms of his misbehavior, probably a lot of what I said with the previous parent would apply. But what exactly is he doing? Like, what is the misbehavior?
It's petty stuff like telling jokes. He's my child. He tells jokes. Like in the cafeteria, he likes to be the center of attention, so he'd get up and sing, or he'd act like a rock star, like a Disney movie. Just petty things like that, talking out of turn, running through the hallway during transition instead of walking.
Okay.
Answering the questions before the kids in the class without raising his hand. Just petty things. It's still not appropriate, but it's petty.
Well, here's the other question for me again. What are the consequences at home when he has a bad day at school? You have to make sure you're giving him the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working on it. He's got a lot better from last year since we've been doing the consequences and rewards, because we also reward him. I mean, he's a straight A student, and some weeks he go in and he's awesome, and then some weeks he want to act the fool. So, he's getting better, but it's still not. I mean, he's not perfect.
I got you. Yeah, I think you got to tough it down on the discipline. I think I would go ahead and give the gifted and talented program a shot. I think that I would. They cannot discriminate against him. You know, if he qualifies, they cannot discriminate against him. The behavior plan needs to be done also. And if they try to keep him out of the program for behavior, then you have to write a letter to the superintendent, because that's discrimination. You're not supposed to discriminate against a kid who is gifted on the basis of behavior. But I really think he may need that gifted and talented program, and I really think you got to toughen down on the consequences. I think he's getting away with it because I don't think we're giving him the consequences at home. So he doesn't have a need to change right now because he's not being made to suffer for what he's doing. Yeah.
Well, all right, thank you.
No problem, love. No problem. Is there another question on the call?
Good morning. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Georgia.
Sure. Go right ahead.
Okay, I have a question. My son is 12 years old. He's in the 6th grade. Now, he's always had issues. He's very hyper. So he started taking medication younger. So he stayed in his classes and focused. But now that we have his behavior kind of under control, he's not learning anything in school. So now he's in 6th grade, and everything, his behavior, his academics, everything is suffering.
Everything is suffering because of what?
I get phone calls at least twice a day. Every day he goes to school. He's not listening. He's not doing his work. He does what he wants to, pretty much.
And he's 12 years old.
Because he doesn't understand what his teacher's talking about, so he does other stuff.
And he's 12 years old.
Yep.
How long he been doing this?
Since he was like 6.
So for 6 years, he's been misbehaving in school.
Yeah, it was worse when he was smaller. Like, it was like everything you could think of as far as him getting up, walking out of the school, leaving, to just everything. I would come up there every day. Like, I had my own desk because he wouldn't stay there. He wouldn't stay in class, and he wouldn't do anything. So they sent him to alternative school when he was in the 2nd grade. But that was useless. And he stayed there 30 days, and he came back to school. So then they started taking him out of classes and putting him up front with the secretaries, because they were older black ladies, and he listened to them. So he sits up there, but he wasn't in a class, and they weren't trying to teach him anything. So therefore, he kept falling behind in regular schoolwork. So now that he's older, he won't focus to do his schoolwork. And he does other things, like he can fix anything, but he just thinks, he doesn't have to do the schoolwork.
Then what are you doing at home what are the consequences at home? Because if this has been going on for 6 years, this is a very strong habit. I said, what are the consequences at home? Because if this has been going on for 6 years and he's been getting away with it.
Yeah, at first, I didn't really punish him that much because I didn't know, what was going on with him. But now he's getting older. He understands a lot of stuff, but you know, it's like I would literally have to like punish him every day because he does something every day. So sometimes it's overwhelming. I just tell him to stay in his room. He'll just sit there.
Where's his biological father?
Now his biological father just came back into the picture probably a year and a half ago, but he has had a stepdad the whole time.
He has had a what?
Stepdad the whole time. His biological father just came back into the picture a year and a half ago.
Okay. So he has a stepfather, man in the house. So I'm at a loss to understand if he has a stepfather and that a biological father's been back for about a year and a half, you said, that's 2 adult men. How has he been allowed to get away with this type of misbehavior? I mean, 6 years is a long time. He's 12. I mean, it's almost getting to the point where he's going to be beyond your control because we've let this go on too long. I mean, it can be reversed, but you're going to have to get really serious and really tough on the consequences for your son. Because now this is a part of his personality. Misbehaving is a part of his personality now because he's gotten away with it for so long.
And it's crazy because most of the stuff that he gets in trouble for, the school says, oh, he didn't start it, but he's going to be punished for it. Well, he's been in 2 fights this year, which he's never been in a fight until this year. Normally he just jokes around, plays too much, and they send him out. But this year, he got in 2 fights. One he started. Well, I think he started. And the other one, a guy attacked him. So he's 1 fight away from returning to school now in 6th grade. If you only get in 3 fights.
Okay. Okay.
But the thing, I made an appointment. He met with a child psychologist a couple weeks ago. And, the school is the one to pay for it. He asked for it, but he said he thinks he has Irwin syndrome.
I never heard of that.
And so he wants to see about that to see if that'll help him. He said because most of the things that they write him up for are associated with that.
Okay. I mean, I don't, and there's nothing wrong, with him screening for that or screening that out. But I just think this is a good old-fashioned case of discipline of a boy who's been allowed to get away with too much for too long. And now it's time to clamp on down on him because if this keeps on going the next 2-3 years, we don't want it to lead to, worse behavior, expulsion, discipline school. So we got to get a hold of this. Every time he has a bad day at school, there must be a consequence at home. I think the consequences at home ain't there. That's what I think is going on. And for the biological father to be there and for the stepfather to be there, I don't understand how he's still being allowed to misbehave like this.
Biological father doesn't do anything like, he comes when he feels like it. They just met each other a year and a half ago.
Got you.
But his method of dealing with him is yelling and cussing at him, and I don't like it.
Well, yeah, that's not progressive. We don't want that. Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want the yelling and we don't want the cursing. So that's not the way either. But it's going to have to be you. And you need to talk to your husband as well, stepdad, because he need to be supporting you. He needs to be supporting you. If there's a man in a house with a misbehaving boy, that man isn't on his job. Now, of course, I have to put that in context because your son must trust him. He must feel that that man genuinely cares about him, because if he doesn't feel that that man genuinely cares about him, then any discipline he gives out may actually have the reverse effect, and it may seek to, work against their relationship, or your son could develop a resentment for you or towards you for allowing your husband to chastise him when your son feels that your husband. But that's a problem, though. But that your son and who are close? Your son and who are close? Okay, I didn't hear what you said. Your son and who are close?
His stepdad, they're close. They do everything together.
Well, if your son and his stepdad are close.
They do everything together, but he doesn't discipline him. He's
But that's not making sense. If they have a good relationship and they do everything together, he should be given out some discipline. You cannot have a situation where the father is only there for fun and activities and the mother does the discipline. That is so backwards and it is so imbalanced. If anything, y'all should both be giving out consequences and y'all should both be giving out awards. But he cannot be getting in trouble in school and then come home and he's chilling with the stepdad with no consequences. That right there is going to make the behavior worse, because it sounds to me that the stepdad is reinforcing the misbehavior. The stepdad is reinforcing the misbehavior. That's ridiculous. You should not be the only disciplinarian. Both parents should be the disciplinarian. He should be supporting it. For him to have a good relationship with him and he doesn't play any role in the discipline, that is dysfunctional. That is very dysfunctional for the family system. Very dysfunctional.
And I talked to him, he said, I don't want to, he'll give him a speech, but it's like irrelevant to what's going on with him. But I guess he thinks, in his mind, he teaches him certain things, because I don't know if he's ruling him out, but my son could do anything, like as far as landscaping, plumbing, he could do all of that. But he doesn't talk to him like, I need you to sit down, I need you to focus, do what the teacher needs you to do. He said, go talk to your mom. When school calls, he'll say the school calls again.
Okay.
He doesn't come down there because I guess he feels like he doesn't want to be the bad guy.
It doesn't matter what he wants. Honestly, if you consider this to be an important issue for you and your son, then you're going to have to tell your husband to step up or get out. That's how I would see it. It's no way that we're married and you're not playing your role with the discipline. That's part of being the man of the house. So, you got to decide how far you're going to let it go. But it's all about discipline. The consequences are not there and the stepdad is not supporting it. So you and him need to have another conversation.
All the other boys are, doing what they're supposed to, good grades.
Well, you just said he's the youngest boy. Well, one of the things that we know is the youngest kid tends to be the juvenile delinquent. The youngest kid is the one who tends to struggle because they are the youngest, so they tend to get spoiled on one hand. And then on the other hand, because they are young, parents tend to get, a little bit more lax. Parents are a little tired after raising the other children, so the young kid kind of gets their way. So you guys are going to have to be very conscious of how y'all let him get away with things, because it's not going to benefit him in the end. A black parent must teach a black boy discipline. If he does not have that by the time he leaves your home. Yeah, I know, and it just started too. And
I think they need to mute their phone if they're not talking to you, because when they come in.
Yeah, I need everybody to mute your phone if you're not.
I'm sorry, it was my phone.
No problem, sweetheart. So yeah, that's really where we at. I'm gonna move on to another call, sis, but it's discipline. There's really nothing more to say on this. You and the stepfather gotta crack down, or he's gonna get worse. Behavior never stands still, so y'all gotta decide if y'all want to do something about it or not.
I have a question. Dr. Johnson? I'll wait.
Okay, hold on. Time out. I need everybody to mute their phone. I'm still hearing the echo. Mute the phones, please. Okay. So go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes, where are you calling from?
Okay. I'm calling from Atlanta.
Atlanta, Georgia. Yes.
I'll be at the Shrine of Madonna.
Yes, ma'am.
January 1st. I have a 14-year-old son. He's been getting into trouble. He's in middle school. Since he's been in middle school, he's starting to have behavior problems. And I took him and had him separately seen by a psychiatrist, and they told me, and he has ADHD. But I decided not to, use any medical treatment, try to teach him some common techniques. We changed so when I did that, when we came over to the middle school, he started getting into a lot of fights, people picking on us. Just, to me, it was minor stuff, nothing major that I thought that he should be medicated, then that he had ADHD. I just thought maybe it was just that he's going through the teenage manhood blues, and so, but his grades are very poor. I mean, he's not focusing in class, and I emailed the teacher because he's in the 8th grade now. It's kind of like he's just making enough to get by. He's just meeting the cutoff, and so now he's in the 8th grade, and the last 2 semesters his grades are all like 60, except for reading and language arts, but he's failing math, social studies, science, and they're all like 60. And I was telling him, I'm like, you couldn't get 10 points and pass the class. So I don't, I'm not seeing your behavior, what I'm saying, your ADHD being the reason why you're failing these classes. It's almost like you're just not giving it. You're not turning in the work, you're not doing this. So I'm wondering, what is it that I can do to get him more focused? Because he was in EIP classes back in elementary. So I'm wondering, is the EIP, does he need some form of different classes? You see what I'm saying? Maybe the math is too much for him. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss right now because I don't want him to fail a grade. Then he's in the 8th getting ready for high school. And, we're in an urban school. And so I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Okay. And so the issue with him, he's misbehaving?
Yeah, it's just talking back to the teacher. He had gotten to 2 fights. He got in a fight back in the 6th grade. And it was a student jumped on his back, and then he decided that he wanted to fight the guy, and he told the teacher, he told the boy, let's take it outside the classroom. The teacher allowed him to go outside the class and fight. Well, the administrator just threw my son, it was really bad. I went all the way, because they know me. They be like, don't call Miss Davis, because it's going to be a problem. Well, they decided to suspend him for 5 days, and I'm like, you don't suspend my kid for 5 days, and you just do. And so I'm like, you put my kid in the street for 5 days. You didn't give him a work packet. What is he supposed to do for 5 days? Back when I went to school, you suspended the child, you gave him a work packet. He came home. This is what he's gonna do to keep his work going, so that he doesn't miss out on education while he's at home. I said, you put my son in the street for 5 days. You didn't call his parents. You didn't call a backup. You didn't let nobody know. You just threw my son in the street like he was trash.
What you mean they didn't let nobody know? What you mean they didn't let nobody know that he got suspended?
Me and him on better terms. Me and the administrator on better terms now, because he understands that I am an active parent. So if you give me a call, I can, help correct the situation, whatever the problem is. So he hadn't been getting into his fights this year. Because the last 2 years, no fights. He's had some incidents where he, want to buck with another student, argue with another student, or snatch something, but nothing physical.
I got you. Wow, just a lot of discipline stuff.
I'm asking them for EIP. Maybe, I don't know.
Wait. You mean IEP? EIP? You mean IEP, special ed?
No, early intervention program is EIP, and I'm in
Early intervention.
EIP.
Okay.
Early intervention.
Okay, because early intervention is. Go ahead.
It's for reading, math, science. It's where he happened in elementary school when he was behind in elementary school, and I have to take some responsibility for going through a divorce and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I kind of lost. I wasn't able to get him the help he needed. So he failed 5th grade. He fell back in 5th, but he hasn't failed a grade since. But they put him in EIP because he was behind in reading and math. So right now, he's doing better in reading. know what I'm saying? But not test-wise, but he can read. Comprehension, not so much.
Okay, let me jump in and say something. Let me say something. If it's a behavior problem, putting him in that program, which ain't a bad thing if he's behind, okay, because you go to school to learn. So if he needs some help, so be it. But unless you believe that the function of his misbehavior is frustration due to academic struggle, that's not going to do nothing for the behavior. Now, one of the functions of behavior, is academic frustration. But
That's what I was. Mm-hmm.
do you believe that's why your son is misbehaving out of academic frustration? I mean, it happens, but it's rare.
I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. That's why I emailed them this past graded period to tell them I'm saying maybe he's not getting the information and he's sitting there because the teacher told me I just give up. I can't. I'm just gonna be done. I can't get it. He's done that. She told me he told her that in class. So I'm like, okay, well maybe it's too much, for him to get, and he's just sitting there like, I can't do it, so I might well play. You know what I'm saying? I can't. He won't do his homework. They'll give him homework assignments. He won't turn it in. I won't know about it until his grace period that he's missed all these assignments. And so I'm like, well, maybe he's not. Maybe he felt like he can't grasp it. So it's like, I ain't gonna me trying to do it. I don't know what to do. I just give up.
Okay.
So
Well, that EIP thing you're talking about, I think you're talking about the IEP. I think you're talking about special ed. That's what I think you're talking about.
No, it's called EIP.
It's called EIP.
EIP.
Okay.
Georgia has the EIP.
Okay, Georgia got an EIP. I got you. Okay, but I got you. But here's the thing. What are we doing about the misbehavior at home?
I've been taking stuff away from him. He's not allowed to be on watch TV through the week.
But that might not be enough. That might not be enough for kids his age. Taking stuff from them may not be enough. He's older. He can live with that. For kids his age, you have to put them to work. You have to inconvenience them through work. You got to get him out the house and have him. You got to get him out the house and have him volunteering, okay, to help elders in the community, cleaning up the community, volunteering at the homeless.
Make them go outside and work.
Okay, but you're gonna. I got to get a hold of this misbehavior. How long he been misbehaving?
It's been, like I said, since he tells me he's mad about my look.
No, answer my question. How long he been misbehaving? Since fifth grade. So this been 3 years. So again, it's been so consistent that it's been so. Let me talk, sweetheart. His misbehavior has been so consistent that it's now a part of his personality now. Now, you mentioned that you went through a divorce, so it's also possible that some of this misbehavior is due to stuff that's going on within the family system. When you went through the divorce, was that his father or was that his stepfather?
Stepfather.
And did they have a good relationship?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, so that was an attachment disruption. Whenever there's a divorce, the children tend to go through an attachment disruption. Especially if they had a good relationship with that other parent. So there's some family stuff going on there. There might need to be some counseling for him as well as counseling for the family unit itself. But you got to crack down on that discipline and you got to address the underlying causes and functions of that misbehavior. That divorce, how long ago was that divorce?
2013.
So it was just 3 years ago. Yeah,
5 years to get it.
Where's his biological father?
He's in another city. He doesn't even help with his other kids. I tried to bring him around. I took him down, to meet, just kind of introduce him to his son, and he got other kids he bothers with. So
I got you. Yeah, counseling because of that attachment disruption and discipline, you're going to have to clamp down with the discipline. But if you think that program is beneficial to him in the school, I would go ahead and enroll him in it. But it all comes back to the discipline, and it's been going on for 3 years. So remember, the longer we let it go on, the more difficult it is to eliminate it. It's not impossible. You can do this, but you're going to have to get really, really strict with your son. And with moms, y'all just not strict with your sons. Y'all not strict with them. Y'all let them do too much. Y'all let them get away with too much for too long. Very little consequences. You still got time with him though, because he got his whole high school years left. But you got to get serious now. If you really buckle down on him now, I would say probably by March you will have this under control. By March you will have this under control. If you go on my Facebook page and you scroll down back to early October, I have a video on behavior modification, how to change disruptive behavior without physical punishment and without drugs. I want you to watch that. It's on my Facebook page. Just scroll down. I did it the first week of October, maybe the last couple days in September. It's about an hour, but I talk about how to deal with behavior, how to change behavior. But you gotta buckle down on him. He's doing it because he's allowed to do it. He's doing it because he's getting away with it. And I know it's tough on you. It always is on the single moms. Doing the best that they can. But we have to consider the alternative. If we don't teach him discipline and how to control himself, he's going to have a hard life out here in this white racist world.
But that's what I keep telling them. I say, you acting up and doing what you're doing, you had it straight.
Right.
Because that's what they're trying to put all the black boys.
Right, right. But what I need you to understand, and I'm glad you told your son that, but what I need you to understand is you cannot talk a child out of misbehavior. You cannot talk a child out of misbehavior. You have to consequence a child out of misbehavior. You have to punish a child out of misbehavior. You cannot reason away misbehavior. He may know that, he may understand that, but misbehavior is the result of a lack of discipline and self-control, and we have to teach him the discipline, and we have to teach him the self-control.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem, love. Keep me posted.
Dr. Johnson, are you going to take another call?
Yes, I am. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
Washington, D.C. I'll be speaking there Sunday, December 4th. Yes, go right ahead.
I definitely will be there. I heard you speak at UDC. My daughter was with the program that brought you here. But I have a quick question, and I want to share something. I'm speaking on behalf of a young lady that I'm trying to reach out to. She's a single parent. She has 4 boys. She has a son with autism that's doing great. She has another son who's behind the son with autism that has been diagnosed with PTSD.
Wait a minute. Stop for 1 second, love. I'm sorry. I want you to back up. Start that over for me. I need you to go a little slower. Go ahead.
Okay. Because I know we're limited on time.
Don't worry. No, we're not limited. We're not limited. Go ahead.
I'm getting a little emotional. I've been on the call since 6:30, but I was at work and I dropped the call. So basically, I'm trying to help a friend's daughter. I've been knowing them since I moved to this area. Okay. She's a single parent, and she has actually 5 boys. Okay. Her oldest son is out of the home. He's fine. Her second child has autism. He's doing great. He's doing very well in school. His program is working. Her third child, the one I'm calling on behalf of, he has been diagnosed with an intellectual disability. He's been diagnosed with PTSD, ADHD, she said, and some type of impulse control. And
how old is he? How old is he?
He's 14. I've been knowing him since he's 14.
What grade?
He's 14. He actually, he's not in a program where they put him into the high school, but he graduated from a program that classified him at 8th grade. But she said when he was last tested academically, they're saying he's on 2nd grade.
Okay, but what grade is he in now? He's in high school?
No, he's in a program. I know if you ever heard of the Oh, hey, baby. I'm glad you're on. He's in the 9th grade. Keep going so she can talk and I'll listen.
Okay, so he was diagnosed with. Okay, hold on. He was diagnosed. Okay, I need y'all to mute your phone. Everybody except the mother talking because I'm getting feedback. Everybody mute your phone, please. Okay, thank you. So he was diagnosed with an intellectual disability, ADHD, impulse control disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, what was the post-traumatic stress disorder for?
We were in an abusive relationship. His father abused me.
I understand. Okay, now the other sister also said that, okay, he's in the 9th grade. He was tested, and they said his academic levels were on the 2nd grade.
Yes, to be perfectly honest, they were trying to label Jaden since he was in pre-kindergarten. Basically, they were saying that, he had problems sitting down, he had problems, interacting, and at that point I said, he's too young. He's just 4 years old. But he's always been socialized. He went to daycare since he was about 6 months, so it's never been a situation where he hasn't, been around. So, he didn't actually get the ADHD, label until about 7. But they had been trying to medicate him since he was 4. And even at 7, I kind of tried the medication, and then I took him off of the medication. And I said, I don't think, he's old enough for medication. He was losing weight, lost about 40 pounds, and it didn't seem to still be helping. In that transition in school, that was around, the first and second grade, they were not, because of the so-called behavior piece, they were not engaging him in any type of, learning activities whatsoever. It's like he's off to the side doing puzzles, or he's isolated in another classroom doing puzzles while everybody else is learning. So, that further went on to the fact that, he transitioned to other schools because he switched schools before he was in the 3rd grade. By the time he actually got to the 3rd grade, we came to another county. At that point, we did an IEP. He was in another county. We tried him in mainstream, but he was in a special education class in a mainstream school. And at that point, I had taken him off the medication, of course, because, he had lost all the weight, and it didn't seem to really be helping him. And it actually seemed to be making him worse. And at that point, he couldn't engage in any activity. Only sometimes in school they were always calling me about his behavior. He was running out of the classroom. He had gotten to the principal's office and speaking on the loudspeaker, all types of things like that. So at that point they started doing IEP saying, and I thought also saying, well, maybe this is not the environment for him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too much going on, and with the ADHD, he's not, he's not concentrating. He's too much going on. He's saying every time somebody moves, he's jumping up, so on.
All right, let me ask you a question. Let me jump in. Okay, right now, what are the 2 major concerns you have with your son and his education right now?
Okay, right now my son is not even at home. He's run away.
He's ran away.
He is, yes, sir.
Okay, did you?
He's with a family member.
Back home. He's with my mom.
He's with her mom.
Okay.
But he's run away. But my 2 concerns right now is that Jaden's in the 9th grade. I don't want to see him in the streets, but that seems to be the way that he's going. Whenever I discipline him, he jumps out the window, he runs away, he finds a way to run away.
He jumped out the window.
I'm not disciplining him. Yeah, he jumped out the window. The last time he ran away, he jumped out the window at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. When we woke up, he was gone.
He jumped out the window 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, this is a serious issue here. What state are you guys in?
I'm in Maryland, but he's, we're between the Maryland, D.C. area.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. You're in the Maryland, D.C. area. I speak in D.C. on the 4th. I need to meet with you and your son. This is what you're going to do. Does your son know who I am?
No, sir.
Okay, well, you're going to tell him. Or maybe the other sister on the line, you can talk to him, but I want to meet with the mother and the son. We'll do it the day before I speak. I'll probably be in D.C. on the 3rd. We'll do it on the 3rd, or we'll do it on the 5th, which is Monday. So we'll do it on Saturday. We'll do it on Monday. I want to come to the home because you guys are close enough for me to get to since I'll be down there. We'll do it for the 3rd or the 5th. And if you could set that up with me, good sister, I'm going to give you my number. Stay in touch with me, and we'll do like a 1-hour family meeting. We got to find out exactly what's going on. It sounds like he's been through a whole lot. Okay.
Jazz, Bob, Durango, Teresa. That's it.
Okay. Who is that talk? Who? Somebody's. No profanity, please. I'm lost. Who's that?
Interfering on the phone call.
Say that again.
Someone was interfering on the phone call.
Oh, somebody was interfering on the phone call. Okay. All right. They're gone
I
now.
don't know who that was.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay. Got you. Okay. So we're going to do the meeting because I just want to see exactly what's going on. He's definitely going to need therapy. Does he already have a therapist?
But currently, no, because he's refusing to take his medication now and everything.
Well, the medicine ain't therapy. Does he have a therapist?
Right. No, he doesn't, because he wouldn't take the intake. He used to have one at school. They switched to school, and they didn't even have a therapist there. So
No,
I had to get him all new everything.
Okay, but he doesn't have one presently, correct?
No.
Okay. So what's going to happen is either yourself or the other queen is going to text me, and I'm going to text you the phone number to the Association of Black Psychologists, which are based right down there in Maryland. And so you can call them or send them an email and ask them for a referral for a therapist for your son, and then also a therapist for family. It could be the same person, and they'll probably do private work with your son and then do sessions for the entire family. But I'm gonna try to meet with you guys as well, just so I can have a more informed sense of what's going on, so I can give you a better line of steps that you need to take in order to rectify the situation. But post-traumatic stress is serious. That's a very, very serious thing. Okay, the ADHD is just a consequence of that. The explosiveness is just a consequence of that. Now take me to this intellectual disability. And when I meet with you guys, I need to see all of his psychological evaluations, all of them, the ones that were done by the school and the ones that were done by the clinic or the hospital. I need to see his evals. When was he classified as intellectually disabled? What grade was that?
I just found out recently in a meeting that that's always been since the second grade. But they didn't tell me that until he was in about the sixth grade.
Okay, so you're saying they wait a minute. They classified your son as intellectually disabled in the second, and you didn't find out until the sixth.
It was listed on his IEP, but the way they worded it, I found it when I was researching his paperwork. It was listed, but the way it was worded it, and they didn't highlight it for her. That's how she missed it.
Okay, now here's
It was
the
reiterated to me
but
by his new caseworker that he has now.
okay, but here's the thing though. Here's the thing though that I need y'all to get. Whenever a child is classified with any disability, there is a psychological evaluation report that contains that new classification. There is no diagnosis or classification except that there is a report that contains it. So when he was evaluated, you should have been given or were given a report that said he's intellectually disabled, yada, yada, yada. I'm saying that to say that you got to keep up with his paperwork and you got to keep up with these diagnoses. Intellectual disability, that's a very serious classification. That's mental retardation. That's the new word for mental retardation. We should have been aware of that. But here's what I want to tell y'all. If he was classified as intellectually disabled in the second grade, okay, the second grade, I'm willing to bet that it was a misdiagnosis, number one, because the younger you evaluate, the more likely it will be incorrect. And when you talk about a black boy with a white IQ test with white folks given the test, it's likely to be wrong. But here's the other thing. A child must be reevaluated at least every 3 years. Intellectually deficient children get evaluated every 2 years. So if he was evaluated and classified as intellectually disabled in the second grade, he's now in the ninth. That means there had to be a fourth grade evaluation, a sixth grade evaluation, and an eighth grade evaluation. So he should have been evaluated a total of 4 times, the initial plus the 3 consecutive. Do we have those reports?
We should, yes.
Okay. Because, okay, was he evaluated last year? He should have got a reeval in 8th grade because it's every 2 years. So 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th.
No,
Or
he wasn't.
he was not. Okay.
No.
Okay. We'll look at those evaluations. But if it don't look right, you're going to have to request an independent educational evaluation. You're going to have to request an independent educational evaluation to see whether or not that intellectual disability label is accurate. Okay, that might be part of your son's problem too, because if he's running around thinking he's intellectually disabled, that will destroy his self-esteem. That will destroy his belief that he can do anything or be anything. That's a very powerful label. I've dealt with a lot of kids who were impacted by that, and many of them, unfortunately, were in fact misdiagnosed. Okay, so that's number one. We may have to question that diagnosis. Now, and what y'all might also need to do is write a letter to the principal requesting a complete copy of his academic record to see everything that's contained therein. Now, and it seems like most of these labels that he has, most of his diagnoses came early in life. I think he need to be reevaluated for everything. Let me ask you this. When was his most recent out of school evaluation? Because the intermittent explosive disorder, the impulse control disorder, and the post-traumatic stress disorder and the ADHD, those are not special ed. That's clinical. So when was his last clinical psychological evaluation?
When he was hospitalized last year. He's been hospitalized 4 years straight.
He was hospitalized for 4 years straight.
I mean, like, at certain points in the year for 4 years straight. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, my goodness.
Not consistently for 4 years straight.
Okay.
At certain times, I've had to admit him into the hospital.
Okay.
And that, about a year ago, the last year was the PTSD. That wasn't always the diagnosis.
Okay. All right. So if he's diagnosed with intellectually disabled, he has an IEP, correct?
Correct. That was one of the early diagnoses, yes.
Okay.
But not told to me. Like, let's say it was in the IEP and it had been written, and when we reading over it, I guess me not understanding every single solitary thing in there, maybe I didn't understand how it was written in there, and I didn't get it because I kept asking them questions about short-term memory and different things like that. And at that point, like I said, about a year and a half ago, they actually explained it. It had been in there since the second grade.
Got it. Well, first of all, we need reevaluations for everything. That's number one. Second of all, he needs a therapist. That's number two. Third of all, okay, he ain't been to school since when? When was the last time he was physically in a school?
September the 30th.
September the 30th. That's when he stopped going to school.
Yeah.
And that was in ninth grade. He was in ninth grade at a public school, correct?
He was in ninth grade at a non-public school, like alternative school, I guess.
Okay, ninth grade at the Okay, you need to call an IEP meeting. You need to call an IEP meeting. IEP team got 3 responsibilities. They create your son's program, what he needs to learn. Okay. Number 2, placement, where he needs to learn it. Number 3, progress, making sure he's benefiting. I don't think your son's program is appropriate. I don't think where he is placed at is appropriate, that alternative school. I don't think that's appropriate. First of all, a kid who's diagnosed with intellectual disability and post-traumatic stress disorder, why is he at an alternative school? Your son should be at an independent private school for kids who suffer from serious intellectual and emotional disorders. That's where he needs to be. He should not be in an alternative school. So you need to call an IEP.
Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing. Maybe he is in an independent. He's in a non-public. They consider it a private. But I didn't know whether you knew what I'm not saying you didn't know what I mean, but I didn't know what the actual label. He's not necessarily in an alternative school. I went to one of those, but no, he's
okay.
not.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's come at this another way. Let me come at this another way, and this is for both of you ladies. Do you feel your son's program in school and the placement where he's being schooled, is it appropriate for his needs? That's my question.
No, sir. I don't feel it's appropriate for his needs because at this time he doesn't want to go to school, and he makes comments saying, "I'm not like them. They think I'm a dummy," and different things like that. So now his self-esteem is shot. He's
they have him in baby classes.
Yeah.
And
he's got me in baby classes. So he's come to the realization that he knows he has some deficits, but he's come to the realization that, hey, I'm not like this. I need more. And now he's shutting down. He doesn't really communicate. He, kind of lashes out at his mom because she's the closest person to him, so he's taking it out on her. And he's just not the same child that he was before September 30th. I spent a whole day with him, and he was excited to be in that school and everything. And at that point,
That's true. And I totally agree with you, my queen. And it's made worse by the fact that it doesn't sound like we've been on top of our game as it relates to his education as well. Okay. So
And
what
I'll take that. I will.
you know what I mean?
And I really want to help her. I really do, because I know what it's like to be a single parent. I raised 4 kids by myself.
I got you.
I just want him to be successful. The system is set up against us coming out the gate. He
Yes.
has to be successful. There's no way he's going to take that road to prison. That's just not going to happen. We're not going to put it in the atmosphere. We're not going to speak it. We're going to get this right. We have to.
Yes, we have to. We have to.
Yes, we do.
So
And he had an intake appointment because of the, destruction of property on Monday, where he and I got into an argument.
okay.
We're halfway there, and I'm trying to keep him from going all the way into that situation. That everybody, from the standpoint here, are just like, well, for us to really do anything, he has to actually get in trouble. And I said, how does that make sense?
Exactly. Okay. Also, it sounds like you have a lot of due process issues here with the school district. It sounds like they haven't been meeting his needs. It sounds like he may have been misdiagnosed. It sounds like they have not been properly educating him. It sounds like you're going to be owed comp ed. It sounds like not only does he need an independent school that deals with children with serious intellectual and emotional challenges, but it also sounds like that school might need to be residential. Like, to be honest with you guys, I've been doing this for about 20 years. This is the first case, I think, in memory, because I've had so many cases, but this is the only case I can recall ever where I think that I would actually have to recommend a residential independent private school. Because to me, it doesn't sound like him coming home at 3 o'clock is going to be any benefit. It sounds to me like he needs to be at a school that is residential, where he lives there, and they do exist. I think he's going to need that, because his case is so intense that even if he goes to an approved private school and come home at 3 o'clock, he's likely to get in trouble, get arrested, run away, get hurt, So I think this may be the first case where I would probably have to recommend to the school that y'all going to have to not only pay for a private school, but pay for a private residential school. This is what I need you guys to do. I need you to get all your paperwork together, and I need you to write a letter to the school. Take it today if you can, at least by tomorrow. No, tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Try to get it in the day. If you can't get it in the day, you can do it on Monday. Okay, you want to write a letter requesting a complete copy of your child's record. Okay, basically, if I was writing a letter, I would say I'm writing a letter for my son, Umar Johnson. I need a complete copy of his academic record to include all special ed, behavioral, classroom, standardized tests, and medical information. This is my right, my federal right, under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. Make sure you put that on your request. FERPA 1974, FERPA, include it. I understand that I have a right to this. Please let me know when the copy of my child's records will be available, and if there is a cost associated with this request. They'll normally charge you about $20 to $40. They can charge you for the copying. They cannot charge you for the request, but they can charge you for the copying. I need y'all to get that. So when we go through this, when we meet, okay, I can see everything, and we come up with a plan of action for how we need to go forward. Okay, so I need y'all to get on this.
I'm in tears because I asked for that.
Okay.
I'm in tears
Okay, did you ask for it in writing? Did you?
No. I asked for residential treatment last year when we had the IEP meeting to send him to 9th grade. I asked for residential treatment and they refused.
Okay, they refused. Good. Do you have documentation? No, not good. But do you have documentation of their refusal? First of all, did you document your request, or was this all talking, or did we put any of this in writing?
We were talking in the IEP meeting, but my mom was there as well, and we were both asked for residential treatment after we received the PTSD
Okay.
diagnosis, and he already started to running away and everything.
Okay.
Last year before he
Okay.
The meeting, did they scribe it? Did they put that when you got your report back, the copy? Did they say the mother, and they put your name in it? Did they say in there that you requested residential? Your recommendation?
I don't recall. I don't know. I don't recall. We'll have to look at it to see, but I definitely asked for it in that meeting.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to start keeping. You're gonna have to start keeping second to second minutes notes on everything. You got to write it, every little comment. You got to write it down because your case is so complex. You miss one thing, it'll fall apart. Everything. The other thing I need y'all to do is complete a timeline. A timeline of your son's academic and medical history going all the way back to second grade. He was evaluated and diagnosed as retarded in the second. He was diagnosed as post-traumatic stress disorder in the fourth. He first went into special ed on this date. As much as you can remember, using the paperwork as a point of reference, I need y'all to give me a timeline on paper, something that I can look at. But this is a very, very big case. And if we can match up everything, I think we can get your son everything that he needs. But we got to get the paperwork right, and we got to match everything else right. But I'm also very, very concerned about his psychological well-being, especially as a kid with post-traumatic stress. Has he ever threatened to hurt himself?
He has. That's the times that he's been hospitalized.
When's the... Okay, those were the... So he's threatened suicide multiple times. Does the caseworker, does she know he's currently with his grandma?
No.
She does not. You need to make her aware of that. You need to make her aware of that, because God forbid, if he attempts any self-harm while he's with grandma, you can be arrested for that, because he's not physically in your residence and you did not alert the social worker to that. You got to keep them in the know about everything. Oh, the case manager for school. Okay, I thought you were saying that he has a social worker outside of the school. Okay.
We haven't even went there yet. We haven't even took that step. He doesn't have that.
I got you. So let me ask you this. Is there any mental health professional involved in his life right now? Is there a therapist?
No, not right now.
There's none.
No.
Wow.
No,
okay. Okay.
Because he had it in the school.
Shucks.
The foundation school, and he had it in the school.
No. Forget the school. Forget the school. I'm talking outside of the school. You don't want no school therapist. You want somebody outside. Okay, he don't have that. Okay, so this is what I need y'all to do. Text me when we get off the call. Text me for the Association of Black Psychologists phone number, contact, so y'all can call and email them and get a referral. Now, I'm still going to meet with you guys, but we need to get him a therapist ASAP. We need to get him a therapist ASAP, because he got that explosiveness too. He's liable to do anything. But I do need to say this. If at any time, for any reason, at the slightest hint that he ever threatens self-harm or does anything that is self-harmful, y'all have to take him immediately to the emergency room. Do not play with suicide. Suicide for black boys is a very big issue. I know, because I've had to deal with several situations. Take him immediately. Do not play. Every emergency room has an on-call psychiatrist who will come in and do the suicide assessment and determine whether or not it's safe for him to go home or whether they need to keep him and hospitalize him. So please, 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 and make sure your mother knows this.
I've done it. No, every time he has, I've done it.
Okay, but here's my thing. He's not in your house right now. He's with your mom.
Right.
So you need to make sure your mom understands the seriousness of this too.
Oh, she's more on it than me. She took him the first time that he done it, and when he first did it, he was like in the 5th grade.
Okay.
Dr. Johnson.
Yes.
After pulling out your hair, when you get nervous and you take out your hair.
Yes.
Your head, he does that. Could that be a way for us to get him in a clinic setting, like go to the doctor? Because he does that. Isn't that self-harm?
Without question. Here's the other thing I need you to do. We got 2 different pathways at work. We have a school pathway for service, and then we have a community pathway for clinical service. I need you guys to contact. What city are you in?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
I'm in District County.
Okay, DC. I need you to contact the county board of mental health or the county mental health office. Call them today. Find out how do you go about getting a child at 14 a psychological evaluation to determine what type of services that he needs. Every city, every county has the county board of county mental health office, county board of mental health. Okay, you might have to start with City Hall. Call your local government and tell them you need the phone number to the office that oversees mental health in your city. Do that today. Find out how you can go about getting him a psychological evaluation immediately. Do that today. They'll normally hook you up with one, or they'll give you the referral, name and number of a psychologist. He needs a current clinical eval. He needs a current school eval, but he needs the clinical more than the school, because the school is about learning. Clinical is about saving that young man's life. So call them today, and we need to get him scheduled for a psychological evaluation immediately. I'm going to come in because we're going to go over the whole paperwork and decide exactly what needs to happen. So, but we need to contact the city to put us in contact with the Board of Mental Health, the office that oversees mental health in D.C., so they can give you a referral, and we need to schedule him for a psychological evaluation right now. We need a current one to see exactly what's going on. All those diagnoses was old. We don't know if they're still legitimate. They sound like they are, but nonetheless, they need to be reconfirmed if they are still valid. So we need to do that today. That's the one thing we have to do today. Once y'all get all the paperwork, y'all going to contact me. I'm going to drive down there from Philly. We're going to meet, and then we're going to schedule an IEP meeting. But I don't want you guys scheduling the IEP meeting until we went over the paperwork, so we have our battle plan in order. So clinical now, school later, but please schedule that clinical psychological evaluation today. We need that. We need a date. We need to know that he has an intake coming up for psychological evaluation ASAP. Okay. Do y'all have my number?
Okay. I have a number that I got offline of 215.
Yes, 989
989.
9858.
9858. Yeah, I have that.
Okay, that's my cell.
So what do I need to text you in that? Just you're gonna text me the information for the
Association of Black Psychologists.
Black Psychologists?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, what you can do, call the Association of Black Psychologists first, see if they have a referral for you today. That way we can make sure that the evaluations are going to be done by somebody's black. Okay. And if they don't, then contact the city to get in contact with the County Board of Mental Health to get an evaluation that way. Okay. In fact, you know what? Hold on one second. Hold on once. Who's based down here in D.C. When you text me, text me for the number of the president of the Association of Black Psychologists. I'm going to have you call him directly and just say, we spoke to Dr. Umar Johnson. We have a young man with a very critical situation, post-traumatic stress disorder, intellectual disability, suicidal, not at present, but he has been throughout the past. And we need a immediate clinical psychological evaluation. Can you can you recommend someone else licensed in DC to do it? I'm gonna text me for his number directly. You can call him today.
Okay. I will do that as soon as we. Yeah.
And once.
Do you have any more questions for him?
Hold on. One other thing. Get that letter into the school to request a complete copy of his records. Get that letter into the principal.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and type it for her.
Okay.
I'll go home and type it for her and bring it to her to sign, and then I'm gonna drive it to that office that I took you to.
Yes.
And drop it off.
Okay. And then once y'all had the paperwork, you're gonna call me. Let's try to get that paperwork on or before December 3rd. On or before December 3rd, because I'll be able to meet with you guys on the 3rd or the 5th. And also, Queen, I would like you to help us out with the Washington, D.C. chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association, because I could tell you really care based on how you're helping this parent here, and I thank you for that. But we're going to need you for the Parent Association as well, because we have a lot of these cases, and if you're willing, think about it. But we could definitely use you. We could definitely use you.
About it. I had a daughter that was diagnosed with an emotional disability. When they used to have level 1, level 2, level 4, they wanted to do level 5 intensity for her. I fought it to the grain. Where I stayed in the library. I was 24 years old. And I said, no, my baby don't make it. My daughter right now has her master's in education, and she has her undergrad in psychology. And
Powerful.
in psychology. That's how I heard of you, because she was part of PSSR at District of Columbia that brought you to speak at the District of Columbia 2 years ago. And I told her then, she said, man, he's anointed, Mom. He is just awesome. And it changed her. She realized that going into the school system, she could help the target population that she could help. And that's what she's doing. She's moving kindergartners that they said they can't move, that they can't do this and they can't do that, and she's moving them. She's getting them where they need to be.
powerful.
yes, whatever I can do to help this young man and this young lady, I'm going to do it, because it takes a village. It takes people that truly want to, see people succeed. It's just crazy out here. It's just crazy, and I can't, and I know the system has failed him. And we'll address that on a later once we get him the help he needs. But I know they have.
Gotcha.
I know they have.
Gotcha. Well, keep me.
Yes, I will definitely get all this information, and I will help her gather the information. I will take her to what errand she needs to run to get the information. Because this is where we're going to hit the stumbling block. We're dealing with TG County Public Schools. Lazy. When we request information, it's going to take them forever to get it. So that's where we're going to have to put the fire to it. Everything here is just people just don't care.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something else too. Sis. What's going to need? Let me tell you what needs to happen. And what needs to happen is, and this is the purpose of the Parent Association, by the way, but we have to organize the black parents in every single school district, in every single county, in every single state. We got to organize them by the numbers and in large numbers. And ultimately, what needs to happen is we need to put together, it will be a what you want to call it, I would say what do you call it? Like a major document. We would need to put together a major petition to the United States Department of Education and President Donald Trump, because this won't be done before Obama gets out of office, even though we needed to give it to him, because that would have been very powerful, because we would have exposed how the black president is not really black. But anyhow, we're going to need to put together a petition to President Donald Trump and the United States Department of Education, which is one of the offices of the presidency. It's a cabinet position, saying that this is what we want. These are the 10 things that must happen in America's school for black children. And if they do not happen by this date, we are pulling all of our children out of public school in America. We will boycott the public school until you meet these demands. That's ultimately what needs to happen. There needs to be a major black community boycott of the public school system. Shut it down, which will embarrass America internationally, much like the civil rights movement did. It will embarrass them. The civil rights bill came about because they got embarrassed. Okay, remember, they are the police of the world. They are the defenders of democracy and global citizenship. So we embarrassed them by doing something like that. And then all of a sudden, you'll notice things will start to happen. We want more black male teachers. We want an end to unnecessary special ed, expulsion. We want the trade skills programs put back into the school. We want carpentry back. We want auto back. We want plumbing back. We want electricity back. We want a brick masonry back. Okay, that's what's going to need to happen. That's the next great movement. The next great movement will be a black parent movement to force the United States government to do right. Because when you miseducate a black boy, you destroy a whole community. When you miseducate a black boy, you destroy a whole community, and you lay the foundation for another prison. So that's where we're going. That's where we're going. But I'm glad we connected. And we're going to get that young man what he needs. And I can't wait to meet him. I just need to put eyes on him and feel his energy so I can get a good read on where he's at right now with his mental status. So definitely keep me posted.
Okay, I will definitely follow up with a text. Well, I have the information, Association of Black Psychologists, and I'm going to text you my information, and then you'll text me the president of that organization, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I will follow up with you shortly. I'm leaving work now, so I will definitely send a text.
Will do.
Right, and when Monday hits, when I can get in touch with the school, I will definitely get on top of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Greetings to you. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm going to call you back. Let me get in there.
Okay, no problem.
All
Okay.
right. All right.
Peace and love.
Bye.
Okay, no problem. And before I go to the next call, I just want to say this is why the National Independent Black Parent Association is so important for all of you out there. I know in the conscious community, we don't really do work. We just like to talk about information. but it's time for us to do work. And I'm really hoping that some of you care enough about our children to sacrifice some of your Christmas shopping money to do two things. Actually, I hope you care enough about our children to sacrifice some of your Christmas shopping money to do three things. Number one, donate to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. Go to GoFundMe.com/Dr. Umar, GoFundMe.com/DRUMAR. Make a donation or mail it in, payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 6872, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19132. So that's the first thing. Take some of that Christmas money that you're going to give the Chinese, Arabs, Anglo-Saxons, Jews, and others and donate to the school. That's number one. Number two, I'm hoping you sacrifice some of that money so you can buy you a plane ticket and fly to San Diego, California, to the World Beat Cultural Center, January 27th and 28th, Friday and Saturday. And you can hang around until Sunday the 29th for my community power lecture so you can get trained. And so you can go back to your city and town to start a chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association. That's number two. Y'all need to come to San Diego. Come to the sun. It's wintertime anyway in the Midwest and on the East Coast. Come out to the sun and let's have some fun while we learn. But I do ask, do not join the Parent Association to try to use it as a tool to build yourself, build your own selfish agenda. This is about helping our kids and helping our parents. It is not a platform for you to get more exposure for what you're trying to do. Don't use this organization for selfish purposes. It's supposed to be to help our kids. Okay. And the third thing I hope you do is sacrifice some of your Christmas money so that you can send your child on the second annual Dr. Umar Johnson Unapologetically African Black College and Consciousness Tour, which will take place from June the 28th until July the 12th. June the 28th until July the 12th. So those are the things that I am hoping for from you all. Another thing, most of our calls today dealt with single mothers struggling with black boys. Did y'all notice that? Nearly every call, single mom struggling with a black boy. This is the reason why we need fathers in the home. This is also the reason why, and some of y'all don't agree with me on this, and I respect that. My feminist sisters, and I respect that. But this is one of the reasons why I am a supporter of polygynous relationships when it is necessary. All these mothers with all these kids, no man in the house, if you have an able-bodied man who's willing to take on a second wife, who has children, who need that husband, then we're going to have to consider that. We're going to have to consider that. The black family is being destroyed by this one woman, one man situation because it ain't enough men to go around. I'm not saying for everybody. I want to be clear. But for black women who have all these kids with all these problems, suicidal kids, kids running away, kids getting locked up, kicked out of school, so forth and so on. If you got a brother who's well-to-do, who's already in a relationship, and him and his wife say, listen, we have to make a sacrifice. Him and his wife come together because he has to have the wife permission. And they say, listen, you got to take on one of those women. Yes, I want you to myself. I don't want to share my husband, but that woman sitting over there with all those kids, she's struggling. And if we don't do something about it, all those kids are going to end up growing up, giving the black community more problems than we already have. They're going to end up in jail, killing people, hurting people, whatever the case may be. So when we talk about polygyny, we have to really look at it as a potential solution, short-term or long-term, not for everybody. But in some cases, we have to look at polygyny as a potential short-term solution to the social dysfunction, community breakdown of the black family. I'm sorry. See, most of the time when you hear people talking about they against the polygyny, it's the sisters who, got their PhDs and masters and they businesses and they bling in that's fine for you, sister. But what about women who ain't in your position? What about these mothers out here, unemployed or underemployed and struggling with their kids? It's something that we got to look at. It ain't got to be for everybody, but it is something that we have to look at. Okay. Before I go to the next call, let me just run down really quickly. I will be in, my next stop is Washington, D.C., December 4th. That's my next stop, Sunday, December 4th, Thurgood Marshall Center, Washington, D.C. And then Elizabeth, New Jersey, Saturday, December the 10th at the Mickey Walker Community Center in Elizabeth. Sunday, December the 11th, Queens, New York at the Jamaica Performing Arts Center. Jamaica, Queens, New York, Sunday, December the 11th, Jamaica Performing Arts Center. And then St. Louis, Missouri, which will be the first day of Kwanzaa, Monday, December the 26th. And then we go to Jacksonville, Florida, Wednesday, December the 28th. Wednesday, December the 28th, Jacksonville. Detroit, Michigan, Friday, December the 30th. Just Added will be Saturday, December the 31st, Jackson, Mississippi. Saturday, December the 31st, Jackson, Mississippi. Rest in peace, Chukwe Lumumba. And then we'll end off the Kwanzaa tour in no better place than Hotlanta, Georgia, Shrine of the Black Madonna, January the 1st. And then it looks like we'll be out in Los Angeles, California, January the 7th. Charlotte, North Carolina is coming up soon. Portland is coming up soon. Seattle is coming up soon. North Carolina, I'm trying to find some venues in North Carolina. Sister Ashley's helping me out. Sister Jacque's helping me out. So my North Carolina people, if you know of some venues that we can use that can seat about 500, please let me know. All right. Is there another question on the call?
I have a question.
Sure. Where you calling from, sister?
North Carolina.
Okay, your voice just got really, really low. Did you do something to the phone?
Yeah, I took it off the speaker.
Okay, I can hear you now. You good.
Okay. So I really don't have an issue per se with my child, but I kind of have a concern as far as his education. Intelligently gifted, and he's been reading since like he was 6 months. ABCs, math. He taught himself math. He's just amazing. But the school district switched and flipped and did something that was crazy because he was in another district, but they mixed the districts together, and he was at like a majority black school, but it's like now he is in the majority black school that's kind of hood, and so now I'm concerned about his education, and not that I think that his IQ or his education will fail, but at the same time I feel like this school is not doing everything that it could do to push him forward. It's like he's stagnated. And so I'm like, because he's in the AIG program, there's a Duke Tip program, but I'm like, could there be anything else that I could do in order to push forth his education?
What grade is your son in? What grade?
He is in the 4th.
Okay, now one thing we have to ask ourselves, are there things we should be doing at home to supplement the education? So that's one thing that we need to consider. Okay. The other thing, if he's high achieving, you need to ask about any magnet schools in the district. Most school districts have at least one magnet elementary school, one magnet middle school, and one magnet high school. So you may want to ask about any magnet programs. You also want to contact the central office of the school district and get a booklet of all extracurricular activities. Every school district has a booklet of all extracurricular activities, and perhaps you can enroll him in those. You also need to find out whether or not your state still has a gifted law, because if they do, you can demand that the school evaluates your son for potential mental giftedness and provide him with the gifted support that he's entitled to if, in fact, he qualifies for MG.
Okay.
And how old is he?
He is 9. He took his co-ed. It's like, I guess it's a test they take nationally, and so he. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
He scored in like the 98th percentile, and that was supposed to be a test that was taken nationally, and so they put him in the AIG program.
Okay. Who is that? Is that your background? Somebody's talking? Okay, I need everybody to mute their phone. Somebody's making calls on my call. Please mute your phone, please. Please mute your phone. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's what you need to do. Just investigate. Also, look at the schools in your district. If there's a better school in your district, you can write a letter to the superintendent and request that the superintendent uh, force the principal to transfer your child to a better school. So do your research on the schools and see if there's some that are better in your district. If it is, your son has the grades and test scores, they will have to transfer him. They will have to transfer him.
And I wanted to ask a question about, like, say if the school district, the school that my son is in, as soon as he got there, I received a letter saying that it was a F school. And I took it upon myself to go out there and volunteer and tutor and everything like that. So every year, it's like half of the school wings of the fourth, third, because it's like third through fifth. So half of the third through fifth grade, those teachers, they leave. And so I was thinking to myself that there is nobody stable inside of the school, so I need to volunteer to be like a permanent, stable face inside of that particular school to encourage the kids in this school or in this area. Hopefully I can get through the whole area. Do you think that me just tutoring a couple hours a day, as long as I am stable in those kids' lives and put forth incredible effort to try to help them get on grade level or do their math and understand that they can achieve goals? Because one of the little kids told me that when he grow up, he wants to be a drug dealer. And I took that to heart, and I'm like, somebody has to actually get into this school and be there for those kids, because some people at home, they're not there. But at the same time, do you think that one person could go into a school like that?
Yes.
Really affect?
One person can make a difference, and I think that you should. I definitely think you should go into the school whatever time you can give. Whatever time you can give. I mean, the research even shows that even if a child can get 2 hours a month, 2 hours a month from a child, from an adult, just 2 hours a month, that one-on-one tutoring time that you provide, that will make a big difference in the life of those children. I definitely think you should do it. I definitely think you should do it.
Okay. Well, that was all I
Okay.
wanted to ask, and I thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and continue to do great things. And
Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Is there another question on the call this morning?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Where you calling from?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I will be in Queens on Sunday, December the 11th. Go right ahead, sis.
And I'm definitely coming to see you when you get here, because I have a whole life worth of stuff to talk to you about. But I just have one question right now. Is it possible, like, that little boys, little girls, whatever, kids' behavior can come, like, hereditary, like, passed down through some bad genes or something?
Passed down through bad genes. I hope you know. I hope you don't belong to the white supremacist eugenicist movement. Because that's their thing. They argue that all black people's behavior is determined genetically from our ancestral DNA. No, I don't believe that behaviors are passed down.
I mean, the reason I say that is because I hear you asking a lot of the callers, when did they notice the behaviors of their kids, and some of them say at the age of 6 or at the age of 4, or I noticed this behavior on the delivery table when I pushed him out. That's my
Wait. Whoa. Did I just hear you say that you noticed your son had misbehavior when he was born at the hospital? You diagnosed that boy with a disruptive behavior disorder the day he was born.
I kid you not, Dr. Umar. I kid you
You
not.
off the hook. You off the hook. How he gonna be?
Let me explain this.
Go ahead.
Let me explain this. You know, when you first have your kid, the doctor smacked them on the behind to get the reflexes or to make them cry or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so they did that to my child, but he didn't cry. They had him. His back was in the palm of the doctor's hands instead of him
laying on his stomach, he was on his back. So when they smacked him, his reflexes, like his arms and his legs, like shot out, and his eyes came open. But he had this look on his face, like, who just hit me? Like, that's the look he had. And when I saw that, I just was like, oh my God. But ever since then, it's always been there, the behavior. When he started walking, when he was crawling, it's always been there. And I'm like, could it be? Because his dad has a long history of always being incarcerated. And I'm no angel either, to be honest with you. And my son, he's 12 right now, and I want to bring him to meet with you too. And he's the type of kid that, since he was younger, I noticed he thinks he can beat everybody. He thinks he's the toughest thing walking. And like I said, I'm going to bring him to meet you too, and you're going to see he's going to size you up as well. Like, I don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah, I want to meet him. I definitely got to meet him. I got to meet the son of the mother who said he was born with a disruptive behavior disorder. I got to see this young man.
I kid you not. And I was wondering, because I know I've been following you for a while, and I heard you say that it can't be if kids are not
Nah,
born
they're
that
not
way.
born
So
that way.
like,
It's all nurture. It is not nature. It is nurture. But I will say this. If you believed that your son was born with a behavior problem, that belief drove how you interacted with him from birth until now. Which means because you set up a set of demands in your mind and expectations regarding your son, the way in which you raised him served to confirm the bias that you created on the day he was born.
I don't get it, because he has more than enough attention, like all the love in the world and everything, and it's just like he just don't care. And I'm just like, and honestly, I don't really know how to discipline kids. Like, you can't just beat kids. Like, and
I agree. You shouldn't just beat them.
Activities, you can't yell at them.
Where's his biological father? Where's his biological father?
He's not around, and that's another reason
But where is he? Is he in the same city? Where is he?
He's not in the same city. He's in Virginia. But the thing is, I have reached out to his biological father to give him, like, my son's phone number, to call him, to keep in contact with him, because me and him, we don't have a relationship, like, but I'm not the type of mother, because me and you have problems. I've never been the type of mother that I'm going to say, oh, well, me and you have problems, I'm going to keep your son away from you. No, you tried to get me incarcerated. Like, you tried to take me up off the earth. Like, you done did so much stuff to me, but even I still reached out to you to keep in contact with your son, and I'm telling you his behaviors because you have the same behaviors, and I'm thinking maybe you can talk to him, but because you feel like if I don't want to be in a relationship with you, then you're not going to involve yourself with him either, and that's not cool.
I got you. What is the worst thing he's done in terms of behavior? Like, is he a problem at school?
Yeah, that too. The list goes on. As far as he cut a kid a couple of years ago.
He cut a kid with a knife?
He got the razors from the barber shop. And I don't know,
he took razors from a barber shop and sliced the kid.
He sliced the kid's arm up in multiple places, but the teacher said he told them that it was an accident. And I'm like, how the hell did you slice this kid's arm up in multiple places by accident? That doesn't happen by accident, first of all. Second of all, where did you get these razors from? Teacher said, and then the thing is, he's a liar. He's a compulsive liar. So sometimes if he's telling the truth, you won't know it. And so, like, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? Because, like,
I hear you, but let me say something. Let me say something to you. Do not criminalize your son. Do not criminalize your son. The way you're talking is the way I hear white teachers talk about our boys. Do not criminalize your son. And do not let him feel like you've
criminalized him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like, trying to criminalize him, but I'm just speaking on what I see. Like, it's what I see. It's what he does. Like, he'll stand there and just blatantly tell me a lie. Like, even if I know that he did something, he would just stand there and lie to me. Like, and I'm like, well, I know you did this. Like, it's making me mad that you're gonna stand
But you
here and
know
lie
what?
to me when I know the truth.
I don't think, and of course this is an assumption. I'm just going off, what I'm hearing from you, but I don't get the sense that you shower him with a lot of love and affection. Is that correct?
Not now. It's a long story. It's reasons why, but I'm not going to get into that over this phone call.
Right,
because
right.
as I've been listening to the conference calls, I'm looking at some of the comments, and they're not all positive. So I'm not going to get too much into my conversation right now.
We could talk about that privately. But I don't lose the empathy and sympathy and affection and love for a child because of his behavior. Remember, the only type of love is unconditional love. And you also have to look at how you and your behavior help to create the personality that your son has come to own. You played a role in that. Children are what we make them to be. Okay, you cannot separate the apple from the tree that bore it. You understand? So you have to look at how, you have played into this. How did I contribute to my son becoming like this? But here's the good news. The good news is he's only 12. He's only 12. He's still a baby. I mean, the world is still yours in terms of being able to reshape your son. But you're not going to do it with vindictiveness. And I would also say, watch how you talk to him. Because I think you might be cutting that boy up with your tongue. Am I right?
I don't. I really
You got to
don't.
stop that. You got to stop that because he will grow to hate you. He will grow to hate you. You don't want that.
This is the thing. I don't.
And I don't want him to grow up and beat up on his women because his mother verbally beat up on him. I don't want that. That's why we have so many domestically abusive black men, because they were verbally abused by their moms, and when they start dating, they don't know how to deal with their anger.
I don't verbally abuse my son. I don't beat my son. I show my son love because, like, I look at how his father is, and I think about, like, what was his
and
life
don't blame him for his daddy either.
And I try to.
Don't blame him for his daddy.
I don't talk negative.
Okay.
I don't talk negative about his dad around. I don't do none of that. No. But what I'm saying is, I see how his dad acts, and I'm like, maybe something happened to him as a child, the reason why he acts like he acts. So let me pull my son in, but it's not working. Nothing seems to be working. Like,
well, number one, he needs to go on my college tour. Your son needs to go on my college tour this summer. He has to go. He has to go. June 28th to July 12th. We leaving from Atlanta this year, but he has to go. You got to get him there. You need a break from him. He need a break from you. And he just needs to be around me for a couple days. But go ahead. What was you going to say?
He's had mentors and everything.
But he ain't had me. He ain't had me. He ain't had me. I don't care how many mentors he ain't had me. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant or nothing like that. But having been in mental health and been working with our children as long as we have, I believe that I've been blessed with an ability to build relationships with our children that a lot of other people don't have. It's one of the reasons why I want to, you understand? So, he needs me. I don't know those other men he's been around.
I agree, and that's why I reached out. And like I was saying, I heard a lot of people say something about changing their diet, the things they eat. So when I try to change his diet and get him on a healthier diet, then he don't want to eat the food. He'll sit there and not eat, and I'm just like,
well, it sounds like to me, that you and your son have an adversarial relationship. Y'all going to need some counseling, and I want you to text me for the psychologist number, black psychologist number, so you can call them and get a referral so you and him can do some counseling. It sounds like both of you need individual counseling, and then y'all need family counseling, mother and son together. Okay, is he the only child?
Well, he's the only child that's here in New York with me. My other children are down south.
Okay, he's the only. Okay, so basically he's the only child at home. Okay, your other children down south, does he know those siblings?
Yeah, he knows them.
How often does he get a chance to see his other siblings?
Well, he actually just came back home. He stayed down there for the summer with them. So he just came back home when school started.
So it's you and him in the house and y'all don't get along. That is not good. That boy is really isolated. He's isolated.
No, it's not that we don't get along. We get it. It's
Y'all
not
get
that we
along?
don't get
Okay,
along. He
okay.
just has behavior issues everywhere.
I got you. But your relationship is okay. Okay, that's good. Bring him to Queens. Let me meet him. So I can ask him, what is your mama doing that's pissing your life off? I'm just kidding. But I want to meet him. I want to meet him and see what's going on. How's he doing in school? What the grades look like?
I mean, his grades are good. And
Okay, his grades are good. He's in special ed.
Because of his behavior, and then he was diagnosed as well with ADHD.
ADHD don't exist, but go ahead.
Bipolar.
Don't let them diagnose your son with bipolar. That's the black diagnosis for the 21st century. Bipolar is the black diagnosis for the 21st century. Any black person who go in looking for an eval, who got emotional issues, they're going to diagnose you as bipolar. That's the label you use for black folks. The B in bipolar stands for black people. So stay away from that bipolar nonsense. Every black person is bipolar. Every black kid is ADHD. These are Jim Crow diagnoses. Stay away from them. And don't put that boy on medicine. Is he on medicine?
No.
Good. Don't put him on no medicine. But bring him up to Queens. Let me meet him. Let me meet the little brother.
All right.
Let me meet the little brother.
So that was pretty much it.
Okay. Well, hang in there, sweetie. Hang in there. Be patient with him. Give him a big hug and tell him you love him. He needs that.
All right.
All right, love. Okay. I can do one more question because you guys know that I have to drive out today to go look at a potential Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy school here in Georgia. Go right ahead, my brother. Where you calling from?
Wow.
Oh, that's the sister. Go ahead, Queen. Where you calling from? Washington. Okay. I need everybody else to mute their phone. We got a whole bunch of feedback. Okay. Go right ahead, sister.
I just have a question. I don't have a child. I'm in school at the moment. I actually am going to your event on December 4th.
Yes.
In Washington. You say that the tickets are on Eventbrite.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Prince of Pan-Africanism .eventbrite.com. If you text me, I will text you the link. I'll make it easy for you. My cell number is 215-989-9858. I need everyone else to mute their phone. Everyone else mute your phone except the parent I'm talking to. Again, that's 215-989-9858. And I'll text you the flyer. Or if you prefer that I email it, you can email me at Dr. Umar Johnson, DrUmar JOHNSON, Dr. Umar Johnson, one word, no period, no spaces, no underscores, at yahoo.com. Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com. And I'll text you the link.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. So, on that note, family, I have to wrap up because I'm excited. I'm going to look at a school that some people are telling me that this is the school, Doc, and this is the one right here. So I got to take a little ride into Georgia. And then there's another school up in a little bit closer to Atlanta that I'm trying to take a look at too. So I might hang around till tomorrow, try to get to that school. I haven't heard back from the owner, but I wouldn't mind taking a look at that. So there's 2 Georgia schools we're looking at, but I'm open. I'm looking at schools all around the country, all around the world. So if you know of a school for sale in your city, Okay, doesn't matter where, from Miami to Minnesota, you understand? From San Diego to South Jersey, it doesn't matter. If you know of any schools, definitely let me know. Definitely let me know. Okay. Again, you can get your tickets for Washington, D.C., St. Louis, Los Angeles, Jackson, not Jackson. I'm speaking in Jackson, but you get your tickets from Jackson. Okay, Detroit, Michigan, Jacksonville, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, I'm off the call on purpose. I hung up because I'm done. And I apologize because I was supposed to say goodbye to the parents, and I'm assuming they're all on Facebook Live. I'm sorry for my parents who are just on the call. I'm sorry. I was supposed to. How did I? I'm thinking everybody's on Facebook Live and they not. Oh, that was wrong. Sorry. Let me call to see if they're still.
Please enter your 6-digit conference code.
Sorry about that.
Welcome to free conference calling. If you are the host, please. We will connect you to your call. There are 10 attendees in this conference. The host has joined the conference.
So yes, family, we're going to go ahead and conclude, and we will be back next Tuesday. I don't have to travel outside of the region for the next 4 weeks. I don't have to fly again until I go to St. Louis, because I'll be driving to D.C., driving to Elizabeth, New Jersey on December the 10th, and driving to Queens, New York on December the 11th. So I don't have to fly again until Kwanzaa. So I'll be in Philadelphia locally, evaluating students, you know, hanging out with the family, so forth and so on. So if there's any events going on in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, Maryland, DC area, please let me know. You know, if there's anything going on in the black community, just send me a text. Say, Doc, there's a community meeting, there's a town hall meeting, there's a lecture. Since I'm gonna have the next 4 weeks off, I won't really be off because I still got to do a lot of stuff, you know, for the college tour and everything else, but I will be local in Philadelphia. So please just text me so I could just pop up at some events, you know, just kind of be a person in the crowd. You know, I don't get a chance to really go to events where I can just sit and chill and see everything from the perspective of an attendee. So I would really like to do that. So again, if there's anything going on in the 5-state area, okay, over the next 4 weeks, let me know. And I refer to the 5-state area as Maryland, DC, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. I guess there's like 7 states, right? But that's my area. That's the area I drive to. Maryland, DC, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. 6 states. Okay, let me know. So on that note, family, I'm here. Shout out to everybody who came out last night. Columbus, Georgia. I really enjoyed myself. Nothing but positive energy was in the house. So I want to thank everybody for doing that. Okay, somebody says Chicago South Side. They got a big school. Around 11,000. Wait a minute, the school costs 11,000? You sure about that? Or you saying 11,000 square feet? Because I don't think there's no school for sale in Chicago for $11,000. I don't know of a school anywhere for sale for $11,000. It must not have no roof on it or something. Okay, but get with me, black family. Prince of Pan-Africanism. One love, unify or die. Pan-Africanism or perish. Peace and love.